Nothing that we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good. Wow. Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. And it is 8:30 a.m. EST, actually 8:31. We just had the unemployment data come out. So let's take a look how it has affected the, we'll look at the NASDAQ. That's the focus right now. I know everybody wants to talk about Bitcoin. Yes, it is doing pretty well, but Bitcoin is going to be following the NASDAQ. Just is what it is. There is a bit more bullishness in Bitcoin right now than the NASDAQ. That's a technical thing. We'll talk about why that is here and now. But for the moment, I'm going to go to the 1-minute chart and we're going to go through a few different charts to see how the unemployment data is affecting things. And right now it seems to be kind of a nothing burger. So here's how this works, right? NASDAQ and everything else trades against the dollar, at least in the US. And if the unemployment news is negative, meaning there are a lot of people unemployed, then that is usually in the last few years an indication that we might see rate cuts soon, which means it's good for markets because markets anticipate a rate cut and price goes up. Right now on the 1-minute chart on the NASDAQ, price is just kind of chopping. It's not really doing anything. It might mean that the unemployment data was, when I say good or bad, I'm talking about compared to the expectation. We're going to look at the numbers right now. But if it comes out as expected, it just generally means money flows back into the market, comes off the sidelines, and the market was going to do what it was going to do anyway. If the news is very different to the expectation, then you're going to see price move in a direction. Now, as it stands right now, there is a slight move up, slight move down, but really not a big difference in the NASDAQ. I like to look also at Forex to see how this is going. And in this particular case, price is headed down, right? So this is going to be much more, the FX market is going to tell us a lot more about the unemployment data. And with this headed down, that usually means the unemployment data was better than expected, meaning that less unemployed people than the expectation. Dollar gets strong, EURUSD goes down. So let's see if that's the case. Let's take a look here. Okay. Yep, better than expected, I think, or yes, slightly better than expected. I mean, it was expected at 231, and it came out at 228. Just a slight, slight tick above expectation in a good way. So below expectation in unemployment terms, right? Below the 231, less unemployed people, economy doing better, no need to cut rates anytime soon. Of course, that's coupled with the news from yesterday. We had Jerome Powell, who is not going to cut rates, which was totally expected. I sent an email out, by the way, to everybody who is on the email list. And I let them know, like, hey, this is what the quant that we use says. And it was like a 75% chance or better that the rates were not going to get cut and held. And it was completely correct. So if you want that kind of information, I do like a weekly newsletter I send out. I also give out some free algos and things like that. And the link is actually in the description. You can see that little note right there. So go in the description, click the link, sign up for the newsletter. You don't have to give us your real names. Give us an email. And the first thing you will get is that free algo. It'll be the next screen. It will send it to you in the email as well, but you'll get it right away. So let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. I know everybody wants to see that. Bitcoin flirting with 100,000. We're going to look at the Bitcoin, and then we're going to go back to the NASDAQ for a higher time frame look. Now, Bitcoin has been rather bullish, appears to continue to be bullish. And where we are in the cycle right now, this is like, we're going to make this really simple for everybody, okay? Bitcoin made its all-time high a few months ago, right? When was this? 20th of January. Right after like a month earlier, basically making that same high, right about 109,000, 109.5. Now, Bitcoin is making another run up, and the charts are showing that it could easily break that high. However, it could also not, right? So we're in price discovery is a term that is used when price has broken an all-time high. And when it has broken that high, then there's no historical reference as to what price might do. So price is literally in discovery. It's going to find its new high. The market's going to dictate where it's going to go, as opposed to looking at past prices. It's just the market deciding what the price is. Pure price discovery. Now, price may jump into that or not. Okay. The bullish energy in the charts could be capped off at any time and without notice. And usually when you're in a situation where things are a little bit more predictable, prices chopping around a little bit, or you're not in the bull cycle, there's a little bit more predictability. But in this case, right now, price, the only kind of thing we can hold on to is what's predictable is price maybe breaking its all-time high or not. So that's the first thing to look at. As it stands right now, price is pretty bullish. It's probably going to go back up to 100,000. Now, what it does here is going to tell us a lot. It could do many things. It could consolidate right below here and then eventually break above. That's one very distinct possibility. The other possibility would be to continue to chop between 100 and maybe like possibly 93 until it does something. You know, there are many things that could happen, and a lot of it is going to depend on the rest of the market, right? It's going to depend on the NASDAQ. If the NASDAQ goes back down to retest the lows, and it may, you know, it's a lot of things going to happen. And if that does happen, then, you know, Bitcoin may not have the energy to break above, right? There's always that chance that Bitcoin doesn't care, breaks above while the NASDAQ goes down. History tells us this is not likely. Okay, so in order to have a bead on what's going on with the NASDAQ, we want to take a look at let me re-say that. In order to have a bead or an idea of what's going on with Bitcoin, we want to also have a look at what's going on with the NASDAQ. And so we're going to take a look at the NASDAQ right now. Now, NASDAQ is pushing up. There is a fair amount of bullishness on the high time frame. There also is a kind of a cooling off that is still going on the very high time frame. I'm just looking at the algos here. I do think NASDAQ will continue up. And as the thumbnail presented, I do think NASDAQ will break above this area. I think you'll see NASDAQ break into probably this range right here. Now, this is outside of any market shocks, any surprise announcements from Trump or oh, we didn't come to an agreement with so-and-so, and, you know, now we're going to put the tariffs back on and the market goes back down, or, you know, who knows what it is, right? But all things remaining stable, I expect price to probably break here, possibly come down, retest or not, and then end up in this range before it makes any kind of decision. Now, there was some news that came out. There's a hint that things are going okay with China, which is really what matters in this whole thing. China did agree to buy 14 Boeing 777s. You could call it a gesture of goodwill before or during all these trade talks that are going on. That plus the way that the charts are moving, I do expect price to come at least to this range right here. Yeah, Koob, that is correct. There is sell in May and go away. That's a typical thing, but we are not in typical times, as you well know. So, you know, I think it was sell in February and go a Webruary. I think that was the way to go. Now, gold is continuing to head up. We have a lot of geopolitical pressure on gold, and we've talked about gold for a long time. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a high time frame technical move. Now, gold may continue down. Gold may not be able to sustain this particular rally, and if it cannot do so, there are two areas where gold may go. And this will be the last thing we talk about before we move on to the private live lab. Oh, chart's frozen, says so-and-so. You know, I don't know what the hell's wrong with this thing. Give me a second. Let's fix this. What? You guys, give me a second to fix the chart. And I don't know what the hell's gonna, I don't fix this thing. Screen capture. Okay. That's great, because it froze way back when I was talking about NASDAQ. So hopefully my explanation of things is good enough for the show. I thought I had this fixed, but apparently I did not. So I'm gonna have to just completely nuke a few things on my computer, and that's that. Now, gold. Let's look at the algos here. I mean, look, algo-wise, this thing is bullish. It is sensitive to pullbacks, though. And but man, is this thing bullish. So I think we're going to see quite possibly, look at the daily here. And so the zones that we're looking at, the areas that we're looking at where price might come back down to, 28K is a very high time frame stop off point, right? Price went sideways after it hit and reject from 28K, and it did so for about 3-4 months. And then it went sideways again just for about a month when it broke up to 29K, or actually I say 2,900, not 29K. And then it just kind of crawled up. So there is a decent chance that price may revisit 28K. But the other problem is you got India and Pakistan going at it. You have Russia probably not getting any sort of impetus to stop what it's been doing with Ukraine, really. Russia has no reason to stop at this point. The only reason Russia will stop is if a deal is made, and the Europeans don't want a deal to be made, it seems, based on their actions. So that might continue. And as long as geopolitical tensions continue to rise, gold will not have a fundamental reason to go down. If it does pull back from a technical reason, the most likely place with a decent normal pullback would be 28K, but it might take a while because things are so strong with gold, right? It might not even make it down to 28K, but if it did, it might be above 28 and say maybe rotate between 28 and 30 for a time and then maybe go up after that. But it could also just simply keep going up. It's very possible, with the way things are. And again, a lot of that's going to have to do with geopolitical tensions. If there is a deal made with, between, say, Russia, Ukraine, which really is just Russia, US, or, Pakistan, India stops their violence, whatever might be, then we might see gold cool off a little bit. This all remains to be seen. And what happens in a month or 2 months or 3 months isn't that important to me. I like to buy and hold physical gold, and I don't care what the price is at this time in history. As far as the short term, well, obviously I would be zooming in and looking at, lower time frame charts. So again, apologies for the screen freeze. I thought I had that fixed. I don't know what the problem is. I updated all my stuff, so I might have to completely uninstall OBS and reinstall it. I don't know. Appreciate your patience with it. Come on over to Algo Factory. Go ahead into the description, click that free link. You will get all kinds of free stuff. You get a free algo. You get notifications when I'm going to do a quarterly workshop where you're going to watch me trade for 2 or 3 days, a few hours at a time. You just kind of sit with me and watch me do it. And as we're trading, I'm going to be like, hey, here's some basics, and it's just one big teaching session. And that'll be free, by the way. And also, you will get weekly updates. I do a weekly video. I was out for a week, so last week no video came out, and that's that. But I'll be back at it this weekend, so Sunday there will be a video. Thank you all for watching. And also, as we always remember, Alan Rickman has to tell us to never forget. Yeah, thanks, by the way, March. I appreciate the kind words. But yes, Alan Rickman, my man.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to die. You'd be great. But you'll do possibly a lot better. Join algofactory.tech. We'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.